Hey everybody. A special fragile shipment is going in this tube. So I will make a plywood box for it to slip into for extra protection. But just to make this more sporting, let's say I'm not going to use a tape measure. Here's the tube, and I'm going to use the rip gauge to set the width of two sides of this box. And so all I need to do, set that down on the table, loosen the knob, let the plate drop on the tube, and tighten the knob. So that's the exact diameter of this tube, but I want to give myself a little bit more room inside the box. So I'm just going to loosen this and push that plate back a little bit. So we've got a little bit of room inside the box to put the tube in. And just remember, this tab represents your blade, and that's going to go up against the guide rail when you're setting the stops. So there's no need to compensate for the thickness of your blade when you're setting up to make the cut. Okay, so I have this random piece of plywood scrap that's going to be the box. It's longer than I need, and we'll deal with the length later, but let's set the width of the two strips that we're going to make for the first two sides of the box. So we've already got the rip gauge set to the dimension we want. Set that against splinter guard on your rail. We'll bring the rip stop up against it, tighten that in place. That's one set. Come over here to the other. Just repeat the process, flip that flag up, pull it over against there, tighten the knob, and now we have two stops set using one standard. So they are in fact parallel, contrary to what you will find with other, so-called parallel guide systems, which rely on a lot of guesswork, which is frankly nonsense. Next step. Okay, so here we have the piece that I just cut, and you'll see we put the rip gauge up against here. That's exactly what we wanted. Comes in even with the extension. So now the outer pieces of the box are going to go on either side of these first two pieces I cut. So I just got some scraps of the same material and figuring two of those, and I'm just going to take and adjust the rip gauge out to meet those two. Pull that extension out there. Now I'll just simply tighten the knob, and we've got the dimension of the next two pieces. So you'll see here, once again, those are all even, and that's what we're going to get. So now we'll just reset the parallel guide, drop this flag, push this back a little bit, put this right back on the rail, flip the flag, run it into the rip stop, tighten the knob. Now we'll do the next one, and then we'll be ready to cut this piece again. Okay, so here we have the resulting pieces just clamped up for a dry fit. Just to show you, we've got a nice fit for the tube, a little bit of extra room in there to move it in and out, and it's not a press fit. So this will be a great construction to protect the tube. Now we'll cut these pieces to length and make the ends. Okay, so the ends of the box are just squares that are equal to the width of the wider of the two sets of sides that we just cut. So since I still have that dimension set on the rip gauge, I'm just going to use that to set the flip stop on the crosscut fence. So same thing, press this on to the guide rail up against the splinter guard, and we'll just pull the flip stop up against there, tighten the knob, and we're ready to go. Okay, so I'll take a little bit off each of the two wider sides to make the ends. Okay, now I want to cut all 4 sides to length. I want them to be a little bit longer than the tube, just to give the tube a little bit of space when we're putting it in, so I'm not like smashing the ends on it. It's unnecessary. So the tube is my reference, as well as the line that's already cut here, where we have the replaceable cut strip. So I'm just going to put the tube up against that line. I can just feel that there. So that's the tube itself, right? So I want to give a little bit extra length to the side. So I'll just move the tube this way a little bit. And now I've got flip stop here. So I can just set the flip stop to meet that, tighten that in place. And that is going to be the length of the sides, which will be slightly longer than the tube itself. I've got one of the narrower pieces clamped to the side of the table, one clamp here, one clamp here. One of the wider pieces is just going to go on top. So I've installed this in the clamps here so that it's just nice and even with the top of the surface of the table. So I can just press this on there and I'll make good contact when I'm fastening it. At the same time, let's make a line down the center so we know where to nail it. Very simply, you can see I started it here. I'm just going to do that. Run this down like that. Okay, time for some glue. Line it up. Nice and flushy flush on this end. Okay, start at this end and get over here. And just continue on along. So we've achieved a tube in a box. It's pretty solid. Hopefully it makes the trip, all without a tape measure. Thanks for watching.